Hi, it's gadgetUK here again, back with another interesting PCB from sparxUK. If I just take that off, yeah, ignore the fact that's in two pieces. It's a POC86, so this is a PCB that when you've got one of these, I think is it 100 and something pin, or it might be 80 something pin, 86 maybe, POC86. I'll stick it top left there. That's going to go into the side of the 500, yeah, or a 500 plus, and have another one of these sockets here. And it's not what you've seen before, it's not giving us a Zorro card, because it's smaller here, I think, just marginally. It's going to allow a CPU card from 2000 to go into that. So we can test it with the TF536 here, it's in the 2000 CPU slot adapter there. I've also got the A2630 we can test it with as well, and one or two other cards. But it's also got a pass-through, so you can stick the previous adapter you've seen there and then gain a Zorro slot, so you can have a Zorro card as well on your 500. I'm curious to see what happens with the onboard CPU. I'm assuming when you use this, you probably have to remove the 68K. If you use the A2630, will you need to disable it or not? Or were the relevant signals passed through here? I don't think so, because you've got like the boss sort of stuff on here on the 2000. Oh, you do have boss. You've got boss there. So I don't know. Maybe it'll just work with the stock CPU in with the 2630 plugged in. We'll find out. Anyway, Sparx kindly sent this adapter, the PCB, and socket here, and then just raiding my spares. I've got a few of these that are okay, that are all joined up, but this one is one I got with a few other Zorro slot things, I think, you know, some of the wider ones, and it's been cut. I don't know who cut that, or whether that broke when it was removed. It pretty much joins up seamlessly there. You know, you can see there's a little bit of an imperfection, but anyway, I've cleaned up the pins on that. I thought I'll use this. Let's get this out of the way and put it on this. So, you know, I just need to just fit the two parts here, and we'll start there. And this is the top side. I was looking at photos where it says Rev A. This is the top side. You have a capacitor up here, a jumper there for the config outside of things, I think, and then another cap up here. So you've got a cap on each side. So I'll just pick my own sizes there, I think. I'm not even going to look at the bill of materials. Probably, I don't know, a 470 or a 220. You know, 470 on one side, 220 on the other. I'll see what rails those are on. But anyway, if we just get that through. Now you can see, because this has been cut, can you see it sinks towards the PCB here? But that's not a problem, because when you get this bit on here, it presses so firmly that it straightens itself up. So it's just a case, because I've got two halves here, so no one else is going to have this scenario I've got here. It's easier said than done to get these two bits on. Because this has been, I think, there you go, reclaimed from a PCB. It's a Foxconn one, you can see that there. Can you see that? Foxconn in the light. But yeah, when you get it all sort of like pressed together and just, you know, angle at the right, you know, tongue at the right angle, etc., it's perfect. Yeah. So I'm going to solder that on. It just makes use of this. Otherwise, that's never going to see light of day, is it? It'll never be used for anything. I mean, I could later get a little bit of epoxy and stick a label on each side just to, I don't know, strengthen it. But pressing like that, you can see it doesn't sag. Yeah, because it's so tight and these two pieces are pressing together and the join is almost seamless there. So we'll go with that. Start by soldering that on, I think. Yeah, and we'll go with this absolutely ginormous reel of huge solder here. You know, it's like, I don't know, 1.5, 2 millimeters thick. That's huge. This came from Dr. Andrew. So, yeah, I need to ring Dr. Andrew. I've not spoken to him in about 6 months. And I do remember missing a call from him. I just haven't had a minute. So, yeah, I'll do that in this video. Anyway, I'm just going to... Well, not in the video. You're not going to hear me speak to Andrew. God, that's not melting. There we go. That's better. So, yeah, this is the good solder. You know, it gives off that smell where you're like, 90s and 80s electronics. It smells delicious. It smells good enough to eat. The flux smell from this, it's probably not good for you at all. So I'm just starting by just trying to pin it so that this is as straight as it possibly can be. And already I can see that's a bit crooked, so you know what, I'm going to straighten that there we go. And then, yeah, so it's now straight here, I think, and we'll get the other bit here aligned with it and anchored. So I'm going to have to move that in a minute. Let's just I don't know, solder one of the points here maybe. Hope that's on the right one. God, that's not flowed very well. It's turned into a giant bead, look, here we go. Yeah, so a little bit of manipulation here, just try and get that nice and straight. Yeah, and it needs pressing down. I don't know if you can see that it's still raised up a bit here, so I'm just going to press towards the PCB. There we go, that moved. I'm going for a perfect join there, paying attention to the spacing as well, just to make sure we don't have any anomalies, and I think that's probably going to be okay. Yeah, there's one or two pins here that don't look so clever in that socket. You can see they sort of sink down just mildly there, so I need to inspect those before I commit to soldering that. But in general, I'm pleased with the alignment there, so I'll anchor this one a few places. Mentioned before with long connectors, do anchor it in a number of different positions along, not just the corners, because what happens is as you heat, it starts to warp. Long connectors, you know, taking your time soldering, you can warp. So yeah, anyway, I'm pretty happy with that. It feels seamless here. It looks relatively seamless there. You can see there's a nick missing out of that, and it's fairly flat. Maybe it's raised a bit here, I don't know, I don't think so. And what I could do before I do anything now is just stick something in it, just to make sure it looks alright, fits alright. Anyway, we're just making use of odds and ends. Yeah, and I think these few pins here, like this one, I'm just going to touch press it, just to see, can I sort of squeeze it upwards a little bit? And the answer is not really. It's moved a bit. There's just a couple of them there that just look a bit pressed, depressed. Yeah, I mean they're all central in terms of the you know the in the middle here. You know, they're all pressing outwards, so there's not going to be a problem. But it is a bit of a dodgy connector, really. I don't know what someone was thinking of when they removed this. How did it end up in two pieces? That's what I don't get. Like, did someone cut it? I don't know. So I've done a few micro adjustments on one or two of the pins there. That looks like it's going to be all right. Let's just try it with the adapter here. Let's just get this in. Let's see, is it going to fit? Yeah, there we go. Oop. It's not very stable, but that's going to fit. So let's just go for it. Solder all the remaining contacts there, I think. What I'll probably do is get a bit of other flux on this and then just reflow every one at the end. This just makes use of the solder though, because you know what? Well, it's going to last me for eternity, the solder, isn't it? I'm never going to use it, because it's not really practical to use it on anything else. Yeah, it looks a bit blobby in places there. Anyway, I'll just finish that off. Right, I'm going to clean up as I go along, even though we've got another connector to fit yet. So yeah, I think saving this new one for the one that mates with the 500 is probably a better idea. Yeah, so if you're thinking that looks a mess, yes it does, because it's got all of these cotton fibres all over it. As well, lint-free is better, but of course they'll cost you more. But you can just, you know, just literally pick them off at the end like this. Well, that's what I do, get the majority of them off and then brush it, and any odd fibre that's still on there will come off. Yeah, hopefully you'll agree, it's not bad. Obviously you'd want to clean these before using it. Right, so the next bit is, yeah, to get this onto here, I think. So yeah, I covered this before on the Matsei, one of these, that provides the Zorro slot. You can see, you know, there's a huge gap. So what you've got to do is bend these pins together towards each other, like this. Just to grab a couple of pins at a time and squeeze them together. Yeah, so I had to bend them into the middle there. I think this is what I did last time. I just went along like this and just carefully picked a couple at once and just sort of squeezed. Right, so I bent these together one by one. Actually, under magnification, I just like to use my nail, just press them down, press them down, press them down to get them with a gap of about, I don't know, 2 millimeters in between, so that they're a bit uneven, but they will space out. Yeah. So I've shown this before. This is exactly what we did on the Matsu adapter. You've got to sort of just wiggle a bit and just slide on slowly like this, and it's snug already. It gets tighter as you get towards the end here. So other than inspecting to make sure none of these are bent sideways, we obviously need to line it up with the pads like that, I think, and then make sure it's totally flat here, 90 degree up, perpendicular on both sides. You can see here it's sagging down that way, just marginally so. Yeah, and anchor obviously on these corner points, and then do the same on the other side. So using the extractor fan here, fume extractor from ZX-Kim81. Yeah, he died in 2021, but I received this 2020, which is why it's marked 2020. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, just going chunky style, just like we did on the Matsu one here, because I've got loads of this solder, and you just get a really nice, reliable physical connection there by adding a ton of solder onto these. You know, it flows up underneath the triangular shaped cavity, and yeah, you just get a nice bridge like that. That's what you get. Let's just get a bit of braid onto that. Actually, it's probably the easiest thing. There we go. Right, that concludes the majority of the soldering. We've just got a couple of caps and a jumper to fit. So yeah, it looks just like it did on that Matsu one. Big blobby solder points there, but anyway, they're going to be totally reliable, strong, robust connections. That's the main thing. And it's like I say, I've got all that blooming solder, so why not? I must have used about 3 inches off that whole reel. It's going to last for the rest of my life, that's for sure. So I'll clean all of the flux off here. Some of it is welder done. Right, and the toothbrush now. So some IPA. Right, back from the ultrasonic, I'm just going to wipe the majority of the IPA off with a paper towel. It looks like it's residue free now. Hang on a minute, how did I get solder on there? Oh, that's annoying. Only I can do that. On the connector there, can you see that? So we're going to need to use some braid on that. Get a little bit of flux on that. What I like trying to do here is avoid that solder going all the way down the trace here if I can. So I think what I'll do is try and heat the braid up first and then press it onto that bit of solder. There we go, get rid of most of that, trim it off. That. And again. Yeah, that's it. There we go, it's hardly visible. So, the only other thing we need to do, we've got a bit of moisture in here still. Really should blow dry it, I think. So I'm going with 150 degrees here on the hot air. It's overshooting actually, it's gone at 180, 190. Now it's going 180, 170, 160, that'll do. And yeah, I'm just going to blow down the slot here. Yeah, and the two caps here are on the 5-volt rail, so we're going to have different sizes. I'll fit a 220, so this is Panasonic M series, 105 degrees, 22 microfarad, 63 volts, that'll do. Bear in mind, if you get a low voltage cap, generally, you'll have a lower ESR associated with that. Yeah, so I'll stick a 220 on that side, and I'll fit a 22 or a 47 on the other side, I think, the other part of the connector here. So I'll just solder the other pin. And on the other side I'm going to fit a 1. It's one that I'm never going to use for anything else. It's all about filtering different frequencies and things when it comes to the AC side of things. Although you wouldn't expect any AC to be there. So yeah, having different sizes there is a good idea. A 10 might be better, or a 22 or a 47, but I'm just going to stick a 1 on there. And it's one of the ones that I'll never use for anything else probably. There we go. I'm not even sure that's 105 degrees, that one, but it's not going to get 105 degrees, is it? For one thing, it's outside the Amiga. If that got to 105 degrees, you've got big problems, wider problems, like the board's on fire or something. Really? I just realised that's not pushed all the way through, though. It came out on its own. That's it. So pushing it flat. There we go. Again, ground towards the top up here. Just trim that off. Again, ESR not brilliant on that cap. It was like 50 volts, so it's going to have, you know, a higher ESR. There we go. So I can clean those solder points up in a minute. So the only other thing we've got here, yeah, that goes to config in. So I'll stick a single pin on there. And then we have a jumper on that side for config out, I think. Yeah, and I've got a single pin here that I previously cut off something else I was assembling. And yeah, so I'll stick that through there, I think, that one pin. Just because it's got a little burr on the top, I am going to just file that. Try and get it off. Yeah, and on the end there. I mean, this is really pedantic stuff. Most people wouldn't bother with this. And that's it. So we've got our 2 pins there, pin there, 2 caps, that's it. So we can test that on a 500 now. So the RRG 500 Plus, with the Agnes that I fixed on Vince's channel, 1 meg RAM, Super NIS adapter, Pi Storm. Let's just make sure it still works. Obviously, I'm going to remove the Pi Storm. Yeah, and see the Pi LED flashing, so I think that's at least starting the Pi side. Will it boot or not? I don't know. It's always hit and miss with this Pi Storm, I find. And that's the thing, it's like, it stopped flashing out, like, how long do I wait to boot? And actually, I think, from memory, if this doesn't connect to my Wi-Fi, I get a delay. So that might be what it is, it's trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. We'll just give it a few seconds. So annoying. So annoying, it's not flashing. The other thing I experienced, hang on, so switch it off. I nearly disconnected that then. I switched the ATX power supply on. Let's just reseat it again. Try that. Yeah, I find sometimes it's about that header there. It's flashing. I see the green LED just flash once further. Flashing, look. Yeah, there we go, it's booted. Yeah, there we go. Phew, so that works. Yeah, it's using the players to do a controlled leverage there. I'll show you, like on this side here, as you spread the players apart, you can just lift it like that, and then eventually you'll get it off without, hopefully, bending the pins. That's it. Pi Storm out the way. Now this is what I'm not sure about. Let's get a stock CPU on it, but do we need... What happens to the CPU? This is the thing. It's going to be using the BOSS thing, isn't it, to disable it, surely. So we've got our stock 68K in there. We'll try it without that to start with, just to make sure the stock CPU's working. Yeah, and it helps if you switch the Amiga 500 power supply on, not the ATX power supply, as I keep doing. I've got this ATX power supply. I've been working on the 2000 for most of the year, and I'm just in this habit of, there you go, switching the wrong power supply on. So that's booting. So let's just simply connect this up and see if it boots with this connected, and do the caps explode. Because if I'd got this round the wrong way or something now, you'd expect, well, problems here. Let's switch it on. Yeah, I've just put my hand in front. I don't want to see cap lid in my eye kind of thing. No, it's alright. I think that's probably okay. There we go. Yay, booted. Which means, well, at the very least, I've got this round the right way. See, I went from a stock photo, and that's always a dangerous thing, because I've done that before where someone's fitted something around the wrong way and then uploaded the photo and then I copy it. So yeah, anyway, that looks alright, so let's switch that off. So let's now try the A2630. It came from Oddbod, all the way in Australia. There'll be a video top right to this where we upgraded it to 4 meg. So this is the point where hopefully I'm not going to cry. Just making sure it is off. It is off, isn't it? Yeah. Plug that in. You've got to hope it goes that way around. And I'm just going to put my hands on these chips here and just feel. Switching it on. Hang on. No video. Switch it off. So straight away we've got some sort of issue there, I think. I'm going to put the TV back on the right channel. It could be that the TV's doing its usual magical thing, thanks Sony, of not being on the RGB channel. So like it said BBC One or something there then. Let's just try that again. We've got RGB. Let's just see what happens. I'm getting rid of the power switch, switch it off just in case. That's not booting, is it? I don't think. Switching it off. Yeah, so I don't know, is it that config in, config out? Does that need to be bridged? I don't know. You see, if I remove that, then I don't think this is going to work. I could try it with, I don't know, a TF520 or something. Might do that. Right, so here we are with the TF520. I know that this CPU will clash if this is in, so let's remove that. And again, I'm just going to put the finger on this, hang on, get my wrist strap on. Put the finger on the CPLD here and power it on. Got RGB. And it's working. Woohoo! That's fantastic. So that does indeed seem to work. But it didn't work with the A2630, did it? My guess is to do with the BOSS stuff, because I'm not sure that this is going to be implemented there. So, you know, there'll be some logic that you can use to disable the onboard CPU. So maybe for CPU cards that don't need this, because this is the thing, I think if we fit that now, this won't work. But you see, switch that off, it could be just the 520 here and the 536 and the terrible fireboards that, you know, don't really pay any attention to that disabling of the CPU, the handover between. So if we just switch this on, switch that on, hang on, oh god, switch the power supply back on again, just finger touch these. I'm guessing that's not going to boot now because we've got a 68k here. I've got a bus error or something right now. Nothing getting hot, not booting. Yeah, just a black screen. Yeah, so there's nothing magical going on there in terms of disabling the onboard CPU. So then you've got to question, how useful is something like this when you know you've got to remove the CPU from inside your Amiga? It just seems, I don't know, a little bit not ideal. I mean, I will try the A2630 again here. We'll do that now. TF520 is booting again. I guess the next logical thing is to just disconnect that and connect the 536 up, actually, because that's got IDE and everything. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so just grabbing the wrist strap here. Hang on, I'm being a wee bit lazy. So installing it just like it would be in a 2000, where the back of the case is here, so these pins on this poke out on that, and the heatsink and stuff go on that side in a 2000. So let's just squish that together. It's all precariously balanced. Let's switch it on and see what happens with this. Yeah, I got the bands on the screen there, so let's just see if it's looking at ID. Look, it's booting. So definitely useful if you've got a 500 where you take the CPU out and you just want to test some of these things alongside a 500. But of course your mileage is going to vary in terms of the additional, slight time delay. Maybe you get things like potential more chance for crosstalk and things, and it's about impedance, connections here, rather than being directly in the CPU socket. My point being is you could find it's a hell of a lot more reliable directly with the right adapter in this socket versus hanging out the machine here like this. But that has booted. Ignore that, it's because there is no prelude card attached. And in fact, in theory, we could do that now, couldn't we? We could attach the Zorro adapter, stick the prelude in there, and that error would go away. I'm trying to think. I could then test playing MP3, maybe. You know what? I might do that. Let's go and get the other adapter. Right, I think the chances of this working are going to be, well, I don't know, 50-50. So I've got the Matse adapter here. So, yeah, this goes this way around. So this is where you've got to daisy chain these together. Now this is where I'm not sure about the config in, config out jumper stuff. At the moment we've got nothing on those jumpers. We've got that there. You could in theory stick the A590 or something there. I don't think that would work. And then we need the prelude. Let's try and move these wires out of the plumbing way. Yeah, we're going to stick the prelude in here with this MPEG thing. At this point, that's not how I'm leaving it within the video for the prelude. There'll be a link top right to part 1. But in part 2, yeah, I'll probably shrink that pin header down a little bit. So we've now got, well, lots of crazy things going on here. Let's switch it on, see what happens. I got the coloured bands up. Let's just see if this flashes. Yep, it is doing. What I'm not sure about is the auto config. Is it going to detect this or not? Well, it's booting. Yeah, I'm connecting the... Yeah, look, prelude library not loaded. So, what's that all about? Maybe we need that jumpered there. I don't know. Or maybe config in wants to go to config out. Let's try that, actually. Thinking about it. So we're bypassing the auto config for... Mind you, is that not bypassing this slot? Let me just jumper it, because there is a thing that says jumper it. I mean, that's one thing that I think could be improved on a lot of these different PCB designs, is when you're going to have a jumper on the board, if you've got enough silkscreen space, let's face it, that board's massive, there's plenty of silkscreen space there. Actually put what it does, actually put a little comment or something so it's blatantly obvious that if someone wants to jumper that, what it does. Right, we've jumpered the config out, I think it is. Does that disable auto config completely for everything on this side or that side? I don't know. Right, let's get the power again. No fumes. Oh my god, that worked with that jumpered. It's detected the prelude. Well, it seems... hang on, the mouse is in the wrong port. I think. Yeah, there we go. So, it's detected the prelude, otherwise it would have come up saying, hang on, why can't I get that? It's like... It won't let me get onto that. Is it because I'm using the mouse on my knee? No, we actually have a problem with the mouse. Let's click that. I don't know, that's weird. The mouse is just going absolutely nuts here. Let's go to storage. It's probably a consequence we're in the 536 from that adapter. That's what I think is going on with the mouse here. I vaguely remember Stephen having some issue with the mouse when he was developing the TF530, I think. So let's load Amiga amp. Let's see, will it play an MP3 using the prelude? Bear in mind at this point in the prelude, I've still got some issues to resolve to get the, well, try and get the quality of it sounding a bit better. But if we open file here, hang on, parent, MP3, yeah, let's load Modern Gas, just by the first few seconds there. Just check out, look, Mum, no computer. That's working! Haha! Well, that's amazing. Yeah, so using the prelude here with the CF536 on this crazy adapter. Isn't it wonderful? Yeah, and try as I might with the A2630, it just doesn't like it. It just doesn't like it. So my guess is because there's no proper handling of the, swapping between CPUs here, the boss stuff, I think, ultimately. Yeah, test it with the stock 68K again, just to make sure it's alright. Yeah, and it is. So we've tested that with 2 different CPU cards there, so you know what, I'm comfortable to wrap things up at that point really. I could go on and on and on and test other things. If you want me to test something specific, post in the comments down below and I'll test it and I'll put an update in the description or something so that you know it works. You know, if it's something I've got, something I've featured on the channel before. For example, I mean, I could stick the A590 on the end of here now. I think that may work. When you've got 2 DMA devices though, it won't. It can only support 1 DMA device, the Matse thing here. Yeah, and that might be an interesting thing because some of these CPU cards may have DMA, and this is the thing, this may be trying to do DMA, I don't know, although the memory's already on the thing there, so I don't know, honestly don't know. So a quick look at GitHub here, there'll be a link down below to this. You can see the board layout and stuff there. You can download all the files here to get one of these boards made yourself. It's from jbilander. You could say, is it jbilander? I'm not sure I'm getting the name right there, but it looks like jbilander. And I've got a couple of his projects coming up, actually, a Spitfire and, well, 2 of those, I think, one for the 2000, and a Spitfire 500 from sparxUK. So yeah, just a short video this time. Hopefully you found that interesting. These are pretty cheap to buy. You can buy the PCB for about £5 or £6, and then it's going to be, you know, £1 or something for the capacitors and things, and you can get these sockets here, the card edge connectors. These you can buy these from AliExpress. Again, pin count top left there, so you need 2 of them. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. Massive thanks to sparxUK for sending this adapter and one of the connectors to me. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you in the next video.